Welcome to Cozy Chats with Zaina, otherwise known as Vlogmas Day 3. I didn't vlog today because I work a job where I'm not allowed to vlog at work, which rightfully so. I am a nurse. So I thought that I would reflect on my shift instead of not posting anything at all. I work at a pediatric hospital in Toronto, and at my hospital, after 1 year, you start floating to the rest of the hospital. So I work on the gen surg unit, so general surgery. So we have pre-op, post-op patients, op meaning operative. Some patients don't necessarily need an operation, but it could be a surgical intervention. And then the other units at my hospital include NICU, PICU, the cardiac floor, which also has a critical care unit. There's the multi-organ transplant unit, neurosurge, ortho, hematology, burns, plastics, infectious diseases, mental health. I'm sure I'm missing some, but that's just to name a few. That's kind of like how our hospital is organized. So as someone who works on the general surgery unit, I am always on my unit until I'm at the 1 year mark, where when my unit is overstaffed, I start floating to the rest of the hospital. And so we do get training with our education, with our educator, who will kind of go over like things that they do on other units. But really and truly, it's very hard to cover the entire hospital. And truthfully, they're not going to put you in a situation where you don't know how to do anything. When I say they, I mean the unit that you're floating to, because they're the ones who decide your assignment, obviously. So for example, today I found out at 6:15, that I was floating to NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. And I've been to NICU one time before, and it was good. Because it was my first float shift, it was very nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie to you, and I was very, very overwhelmed. But this time around, I kind of went in with like my best foot forward and figured that it would be a good shift as long as I, pretend like it's going to be a good shift. You know what I mean? Like, fake it till you make it type thing. So when I get in for a float shift, sometimes what I do, depending on the unit, I'll call ahead of time and just ask them if they can tell me who my assignment is. They couldn't tell me this morning, so I had to go in and find it myself. But it is what it is. And I found out that I had 2 babies. NICU is filled with babies, so I'm not revealing anything. But I had 2 babies, and they were a pretty easy, like 2 babies. Like, they weren't crazy. There wasn't anything that I haven't heard before. Like, I felt very comfortable with being their nurse in the NICU. They start at 7 and start taking report at 7, whereas on my unit, we start taking report at 7:15, so it's like a 15-minute difference. I did try my best to get there as soon as possible, so I could get report. And on the NICU, they give you report first, and then you go through the orders with them. Whereas on my floor, you look through your patient chart, you get report, and you don't go over the orders with them. You're supposed to kind of come with your questions about the orders that are in the patient's chart from before to your report that you give. And yeah, like, I obviously can't speak about the actual shift itself. All I can tell you that it was a good shift. It was definitely a little slower, which is good. Like, I am here for slower. I had a very hectic week last week. Like, I had to claim overtime. And so I don't mind the slower pace, but it was definitely different. I had one of the NICU nurses that was in the pod ask me if, like, this is more or less than what I'm typically used to. And I was like, this is definitely less than what I'm typically used to, but I am here for it. And that's the other thing. I really, really enjoyed the people that I worked with today. Like, they were fun. They were very helpful. The one thing I hate about floating is, like, I hate feeling useless, and because it's a new unit, like, I don't know where everything is, and it's just very new to me. And so I try to ask if they want help, but I really can't help, and I don't have the knowledge, skills, or judgment to take on their patients, which is why, like, when we go on break, like, one of them has to be with me, because I don't know what to do if something were to happen to their patients, which really sucks, and like really makes you think about like what you want to do next, like in terms of, you know, critical care, and like if that's something that you want to get into, and skills that you want to learn, because it's just a whole world that I'm just not used to, and I just don't know. Obviously I'm only a year and like 4 months in, so it is something that I'll probably gain like knowledge about over time, but it just sucks in the moment. You know, you get thrown back in, you feel like you're a new grad. Well, I guess I am still a new grad, but it makes it feel like you're a new nurse all over again, and just like don't know anything. And like it's a scary feeling, for sure. And yeah, I had a good shift. If you guys have any questions about just like floating or being a nurse at a pediatric hospital in Toronto, let me know. Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 4.